When faced with difficult or painful situations, as humans, we're conditioned to be emotionally involved, which is easy to do. But when you really take your time with that situation, you're much calmer in your approach and you reply back. This is known as rational thinking, and that's what I'm going to be talking to you about in this video today. Hi, my name is Ange, and if you find value in this video, then like and subscribe so that it can reach other like-minded viewers as well. Now, if we take anxiety, for example, anxiety isn't always rational. We can often feel compelled to judge ourselves for not being able to control that emotion and those feelings of anxiety. And even when we've been through that healing journey. Let me give you an example. A couple of weeks ago, I had to take my daughter for a late night shopping to go get something for school. And as I was walking towards the shop, I saw somebody in a reflection, and it was somebody who I've had to go through a lot of trauma and healing with, who I've worked hard on to create those boundaries because of the childhood emotional abuse. And for me, I thought I was a little bit past that and I was okay. But I could see that person looking at me through the reflection of the windows. And when I got into the shop where I had to go, as soon as I got into the shop, I just had to sit down. All of a sudden, these feelings of anxiety just came over and just started taking over my body. I started getting palpitations. And in that moment, I was like, why is this happening to me? I've done all the work. I've created the boundaries. Why am I letting myself react in this emotional way because of that person, which I didn't want to do in that situation? So in order to understand why we can become emotionally involved and why we have these emotional responses, I'm going to break it down into 3 parts. Now, when a situation or an event occurs, the first one is that we get triggered. And our instant go-to response is always a negative one. And for you, it could be simply, having a stressful day, which might make you feel a certain way. Perhaps you've even, sent a message to somebody and they haven't replied back over the duration of the next few days. Then this leads down to you having a belief about the situation or the event, but most likely it's a belief about yourself because of what's just happened. Or maybe they don't want to talk to me anymore, maybe they don't like me. And this creates negative beliefs within yourself. Finally, it leads us to having a consequence because of the first 2 reactions. And this is us having that distressing emotion. And it's also our body reacting in a physical way. And that could be feeling nauseous, having palpitations, shortness of breath, which then leads us down to, having the consequence of people pleasing, fear of judgment. And those feelings and emotions are feeling worthless and not feeling good enough. And more often than not, it's because there's a root cause, there's a trigger. And more often than not, it's because of childhood trauma. But when you find yourself in that unpleasant, painful, difficult situation, sit with it. Let it sit with you. Because first, that situation needs to be measured. Before you respond, which will be an emotional, instant response, because in that moment, you won't necessarily fully understand. Instead, give yourself that permission to take that step back, to give yourself that time to reframe what you think about the situation. Because reframing what you think about the situation is so important before it becomes that negative end result, that negative consequence. And when you do that, you're able to become aware of your negative thought patterns, your irrational beliefs about yourself, and eventually get down to the root cause of that problem, which is your trigger point. And you can do this by simply asking yourself these following questions. What happened? How did it make you feel? What was your automatic negative thought? What evidence supports this thought? And what's an alternative thought you can have instead? And I'll also put a link down below to an emotional PDF journal, which can help you along your journey as well. So reframing the situation allows you to become aware of the here and now. It makes you a present of the moment, rather than letting those emotions, those negative beliefs, and in that internal dialogue that you have with yourself run wild and create chaos within your mind. So give yourself that time to sit with it and remember that you are in control of your power, and let these emotions to flow through you, reminding yourself that these emotional boundaries are healthy. Otherwise, people will continue to just demand and expect things from you and expect you to behave in a certain way that pleases them. And for me, when I was in that situation, I used to react emotionally out of fear and judgment until I rediscovered my own personal power. But if you continue to play out these thought patterns and these negative beliefs about yourself, and you continually personalize the situations, they start to stick with you. It's who you start to identify yourself with and start to believe about yourself. And it starts to change the attributes within us. It changes the frequency within us. And it leads you down a negative path, a path that you don't want. And it's about becoming aware and becoming present in the here and now. And more often than not, when you become aware, you'll start to realize that these people will continue to attack you because there's something missing within them. They have the tendency to blame others because they need to fix something within themselves. And it's something that they're lacking and something that they're missing within themselves. So recognize those negative thought patterns that you want to change. Recognize those internal dialogue that you have, those negative beliefs that you hold about yourself that you want to change so that you can create that new you. And that's a great benefit of becoming aware of the here and now. You're aware of your emotions, your internal dialogue, your instant emotional response. And when you become aware of that, you react from a rational place rather than from doubt, fear, with those irrational beliefs that you hold about yourself. You can do this by changing the attention of your thought, because this will influence how you feel, how your body reacts, and how you actually respond, because this is how you come to define and create those beliefs about yourself. So next time you're in a difficult or painful situation, do something about it. Take back your control and create those new emotional healthy boundaries. Create those new pathways and reframe the situation and your thought process, like I mentioned earlier on in the video. And it's like Eckhart Tolle said, if you get the inside right, the outside will fall into place. So our emotions are signals reminding us of what we need to take care of, what we need to nurture. So don't run away from them, fully acknowledge them and become aware of them. And when you do, listen to them so that what needs to be released can be released. What you need to let go of, you can let go of. What needs to be healed can be healed. And that you can move on and start to attract more of what you want into your life. And when you've been through that healing journey, that process, when you're able to process your emotions and you're able to think rationally, then in that moment you get to choose how you want to respond, how you want to react. And that is where you will find your inner strength, where you will find your power. If you found value in this video, like and subscribe so that it can help others as well. And if you've been through a similar situation where you want to share and talk about your experience, or you're going through a situation, let me know in the comments below. Have a great day. Namaste.